Good afternoon. I'm making a salmon, smoked salmon farfalle. Farfalle is one of Julie's favorite pasta. And I will be using a cream which is homemade, very healthy. Actually, it's not a cream, it's going to be a bechamel sauce. And I will also be using courgettes from our garden. Talking of which, I'm using a round courgette, but you can also use a normal courgette. This is because we have got them for free.
I don't know if we call it free, bearing in mind the hours of work I put into growing the damn things.
I've got a skillet on a medium-high, number 8 at the moment, but you can use a griddle, anything you might have available, even a frying pan. And I'm not adding anything to my courgette. As they are, just slice them and I'll add them to the skillet. And courgette have got a very high water content, especially those courgettes. They seem to be even more watery. So I will start on a very high heat because I want them to cook quite quickly, but also they need to sweat some water. I'm also chopping some parsley, which I will use on the courgettes as a marinade. Very optional, but if you like garlic, I would recommend you use it, but do not use a lot. This is a very small clove of garlic, and I will be adding it to the parsley. I'll pick them up and add them to a plate, and I'll drizzle a little olive oil. And I'll mix everything together with a fork, and I'll wait until the courgettes are done. So here is my smoked salmon, and I will keep some for the end, as I will be using this to garnish the plate. And with the rest, I'll just pick it up, and I'm gonna chop it with a knife. Don't do it too thin, just roughly chop like this is fine. And I will also do one cut the other way. The courgettes have been cooking merrily, and I'm going to now turn them around. And do not worry if they overlap a little, doesn't matter, they will shrink. It'll be another 4 or 5 minutes and they will be ready. My courgettes are ready and they'll be smoky. And I'm going to be transferring them into my plate now and on top of my marinade. You will know that they're ready because they are considerably softer and translucent. And to ensure that they are all covered, I will turn them around as well in the marinade. I'll just add a little pepper on this, but no salt, as there will be salt somewhere else, and also the smoked salmon is quite salty, so just a little pepper to enhance the taste of the courgette and the marinade. And I'll put them aside, ready for the next step. New saucepan, medium-high temperature. I'm going to add a knob of butter. I'll pick up my salmon and add it to the pan. The temperature is medium-high, I think I did say that.
You were very lucky I didn't start eating that, you know, it just looked so lovely.
And I'm going along with my wooden spoon and making sure that the salmon cooks. This won't take very long, by the way, it's very, very quick. I've turned the temperature down onto medium, number 5 now, as I do not want to get stuck to the bottom too much, but this is what I've been waiting for. See this little crust at the bottom? That is perfect, which is when I can add a quarter of a glass of dry white wine. And as soon as I put the wine in, you'll see that all of the little crust has been dislodged from the bottom. And it will only take a couple of minutes for the alcohol from the wine to evaporate, but also for the wine itself to evaporate. Salmon is pink, I'm wearing pink, and I want to make this pasta pink. So here I've got some tomato puree, and I'm going to be using no more than a teaspoonful of tomato puree. Do not exceed those measures because otherwise your pasta will taste of tomato and you don't want that. So the wine is pretty much all gone, and this is when I'm going to be adding my tomato puree now. And I'll mix it in until I get a nice consistency and the same color. I did say that I wasn't going to be using any unhealthy creams or double cream or anything like that, so I will be making some homemade bechamel. I've got 300 milliliters of milk and 25 grams of plain flour. Everything is cold. I'll mix it with a teaspoon. By now the tomato puree has been absorbed by my salmon, and using a sieve I'm going to be pouring in my milk and flour to ensure that I don't get any lumps. As you can see, there is still some in there. I've turned the temperature up on maximum again, and you can see that my sauce is beginning to boil, so I'll turn it down on number 5, medium, and I'll stir it continuously until I'm happy that the consistency is very creamy and exactly what I'm looking for. And it's done. This is exactly the consistency that I'm looking for. If yours is a little bit too liquidy, just leave it on the hob for longer. If it's a little bit too thick, just add a little bit more milk. I'm going to add a little pepper and a tiny little amount of salt. Don't put too much because the salmon is salty, smoked salmon, so you will find that otherwise it'll be too salty. And I'll put the lid on and I'll get on with my pasta next. My water is boiling, again a little salt, not a lot, and I will be adding my farfalle next. I'll cook these for most probably 7 minutes and I will be draining them just before al dente so that they can finish cooking in the sauce. My pasta is drained and is ready, and I've got my sauce back on the hob and I will be adding it to the sauce. And as I mentioned before, I'll finish cooking the pasta with the sauce.
It smells divine.
I have reserved a little cooking water, so I'll just add a tiny little amount. And before I serve, I just want to make sure that the pasta is properly cooked.
That's just mean.
I'll do a little
It's mean
taste.
showing me eating.
One more minute, which is good actually, because I do want the pasta to finish cooking with this sauce, and I'm happy that it's still not done. I'll give you the opportunity to properly fuse and blend together. And if you want to impress your guests or your wife or even yourself, you could try this. I'll place a piece of courgette at the bottom of my plate. I will hide the courgette by placing some pasta on top. A second piece of courgette, more pasta to hide the second piece of courgette. You will recall that I reserved some salmon at the beginning to garnish, and this is when I'm going to be using it. A piece on the top as well.
And I can vouch for the pasta, everybody. I'm afraid I tried a little. It's delicious.
And I did actually also slice some of the courgettes as well, just to garnish it and make it look pretty. And I'll put a piece in between each piece of salmon. A couple more things before we are ready, and I will garnish with some parsley on the top. I said a couple, I am an accountant, I can count. Some pepper as well. And a very, very last ingredient, and I highly recommend this, unless you don't like lemons, some lemon zest. This will transform your dish in an amazing way.
Pièce de résistance.
And goes without saying, time to taste it now. I'll make sure that I get
No need, everybody, it was delicious. I've done it already.
She's already done it, that's no surprise
Several
there.
times, in fact.
She's terrible. That is really nice actually.
If you like smoked salmon, it's delicious.
But also the courgette, it's lovely, and the lemon. But I added a little garlic in the courgette, and that makes a big difference, as well as the lemon. And but do not go mad with the garlic, because it can be overpowering, and it is a salmon pasta, but it is perfectly balanced. So really delicious. I'm very pleased with it, and I think Julie is as well by the look
Absolutely.
of it. So I better get on with it. Thank you, and see you later. Ciao, ciao.